Love this high-tech operation.
Just your style.
Just my style. Just my style. Here we go. Yeah. Check this out.
Teach only love, but that is what you are. Only love, yes, that is what you are. Teach only love, that is what you are.
Welcome to the Way of Mastery.
Teach only love, everywhere you go. Teach only love,
The Way of Mastery.
everyone knows. Teach only love.
Welcome to the Way of Mastery. Those of you who are in here and those who are coming online.
Recognize the problem, so the problem can be solved. Let me recognize the problem, so the problem can be solved. Teach
Only love.
each and every day. Teach
Only love.
in your special way. Teach
Only love. Love is what you are. Welcome to the Way of Mastery. Just remember, you don't have to believe it. You don't have to welcome it. Some of it's going to be hard to believe, and some of it's going to be quite startling. But if you use the ideas, you'll see that the ideas are true.
what you are. Teach only love. Yeah, you're a shining star. Only love. Love is what you are.
Jenny, welcome. Marina, Cheryl, James, Douglas.
Let me recognize
The problem, so the problem can be solved. Teach only love. Kathy, welcome to, of course, Way of Mastery. Welcome, Joseph, James, and everybody that's in the room here tonight. What's up, Sister Sinead? Teach only love. Teach only love, for that's what you are. So we can bring that violin. The problem will be solved. Wow, 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 wow. Let me recognize the problem so the problem can be solved. Let me recognize the problem so the problem can be solved. Love is what you are. Love is what you are. Yes. Let me recognize the problem so the problem can be solved. Teach only love. 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 That is what you are. That's what you are. You are only love. Love is what you are. Love is what I am. Love is what you are. Love is what I am. A lot of you have been asking me about the music that's John Christmas, so go to johnchristmas.com if you like to get that CD. It's awesome. Well, is anybody in the house? Yeah. Oh, okay, all right, okay. I was just wondering. Thought we was mourning somebody for a minute. Okay. All right, good. Good. We're going to be on page 330. If you got the book, we're going to be on page 330 in the Way of Knowing. Tonight we're going to get to the section that's called, I'm going to start at the section that's called The Doorway to Greater God Consciousness. The doorway to greater God consciousness, which is the same as the doorway to greater love consciousness. I'm going to go through the paragraph, and what I'm going to attempt to do is I'm going to try to give myself what it is the main point that the course, that the Way of Mastery is trying to make, so that it won't just be another thing of calling words to myself and not really digesting and integrating what it means. So I'm much more about, can I remember what I've been told, than can I analyze what it means. So it says, indeed, beloved friends, in the way of knowing, there's a certainty of knowing that it is the places in which fear seems to be cropping up that is the actual doorway to greater consciousness. If there is something that you feel fearful of sharing with another, there is your doorway. So, there's a certainty of knowing that it is the places in which fear seems to crop up that's actually your doorway to greater love consciousness. I need to hear that one. Wherever your fear is cropping up in your life right now, wherever your fear is cropping up, that's your doorway. So a lot of you may have a lot of doors going on right now. You may have a lot of doors that to open up to love right now based on what's said. And so if there's something you feel afraid to share with somebody, that's where your doorway is located. Mm-hmm. So the doorway is located if there's something you're afraid to share with another. That's the door. So it says, go and share your truth for no other reason, not to persuade, not to be right, but go ahead and share your truth just to do the sharing so that you can get through the ring of fear. So when it was talking about sharing, it wasn't you not being afraid to share that you don't like the dress they got on. Or you're not afraid to share something that your ego is upset about that you wish that they would be different in some way. It's talking about living your truth, not being afraid to share your truth. Because that's how you get through the fear. And you can go ahead and make it, yeah, I want to communicate as much as possible. My definition that I learned from A Course in Miracles of Love is unlimited communication without fear. Unlimited communication without fear. So I can tell how much love I have by how unafraid I am to communicate. If I'm in a friendship or a relationship with you and things are coming up for me that I'm afraid to communicate because I feel like I might be attacked, then I know that there's a block to love, so therefore that's where the doorway is. So I have to remember to tell myself, stay open, stay open, stay open, don't contract, stay open, don't contract, stay open, don't contract, stay open, don't pull back, don't pull back. The only answer right now is I need to love you more. I need to allow more love to come through me. My wrong-minded self is going to say contract, 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 fall back, fall back, fall back. But the truth is, what I want to do is I want to let that come up, take a look at it, don't get engaged with it, and let it pass through. Notice I said don't get engaged with it. I'm not saying bring it up so that you can get busy analyzing it and focusing all your attention on it like it matters. Bring it up, look at it, and the fact that you can look at it means that you're not it. If you can look at it, you're the subject, that's the object, so you must not be it. Let it come up, because it's not about letting it come up so that you can put the burden of it on someone else or get somebody else to join in the suffering with you. Which is what most people call sharing.
Right.
Let me tell you what I'm upset with you about and what you need to change. Now I've shared.
Take care of it.
No, you haven't shared. You just created more separation. Because the minute you said I needed to change for you to be happy, I know you were looking for the answer where it isn't located. Now, I can share it with you and hopefully give you an option of doing it differently. But by the same token, I'm the one that's in control of how I'm feeling. I'm the one that's creating how I'm feeling. Let me get a little drop here. My throat is trying, my ego is trying to strangle me so that I will not talk to you at all. But I'm not going to let it win. I got so much stuff in here. Oh, my goodness. Oh, 1959 calendar. All right. I do not hoard. Anybody to get the impression that I hoard. All right. That's better. So that's all. Did you notice the next sentence says, that's all. Just to do the sharing so that you can get through the ring of fear. That is all. If you feel your heart constantly calling you to live penniless on the streets of London, and it's been calling to you for 30 years, go and sell everything you have and follow your heart. Now, I know that the world has not taught you to live in such a way. The world doesn't teach us to live by inner guidance and to follow our heart. The world gives us very well-organized structures that have been guaranteed not to create happiness. And then if you allow yourself to live according to those rules that you haven't seen bring any kind of happiness permanently to anybody else, then you are a good, righteous member of society and you're getting it. Okay? When you can think the way the world thinks without any help, then you are now a mature citizen of the ego world. So, in order to be willing to do the Course in Miracles full time, 30 years ago, I certainly was following my heart and not what the world would tell me to do. But I don't know many people that spent the last 30 years of their life doing exactly what they want to do every single day and allowed themselves to be supported by Spirit to do that. But to do it and not lose my mind with fear, I had to be so steeped in these teachings that they became the way I looked at every day and the way to deal with it. So that's why I listen and study this every day. That's why for the last 25 years I've been listening to it all night long. I listen to it all night long, every night, if I can, if I'm at home. That's when I need to be listening to it the most, when I'm not at home. All righty. Okay, any thoughts about what I've said so far? Any questions about it? What we've said so far?
Yeah. So you say what you fear is the doorway to love.
Yes, because it can be used as a trigger to remind yourself of the truth.
Okay, so if we have a fear, then what do we want to do? We want to go through that doorway somehow, or?
Well, the way you go through the doorway is to let it come up, look at it, don't beat yourself or judge yourself for having the feeling. If you don't judge yourself for having the feeling will leave. It'll pass through you. Analyzing it just gives it power. Because you're not that feeling. That feeling is coming from something that you're telling yourself 99% of the time. Like I've said often, most of us don't deal with life and death situations immediately all day, every day. So there are very few choices you make during the day, I would say 0, that your life is threatened immediately in that moment. So there's very few things, even at a practical level, that comes up that you can't take a breath, pause, and then allow yourself to get centered before you deal with it. So this is telling us that wherever fear is, like if you feel fear, is your opportunity to go, what is it that the Course in Miracles or the Way of Mastery or the Course of Love or what my particular path is, what is it telling me to do in a situation like this? and now I'm going to do it. But I won't be able to tell myself what to do if I haven't studied the material to the point that I know what it's saying, so that I start telling myself what it's telling me to tell me to ease my fear. Because you're only afraid and upset because you're telling yourself something that's making you feel that way. You can always come up with extreme situations, but that's just a defense to keep from using this truth. So that's how it recommends you dealing with it, is to allow yourself to feel it, take a look at it, apply your truth to it, and don't judge yourself for having it.
So allow yourself to feel it and like do it anyway, or just sort of observe it?
It's not an action. What it's talking about, what's making you feel fear, you just use that fear as an opportunity to remember to apply the truth to the situation, which is, this is another opportunity for me to ask my higher self, what do you want me to say? What do you want me to do? It's an opportunity for me to pause and ask myself what would be the best way to approach this situation right now. Try to keep it simple. The ego mind is going to try to complicate this, but it's really not complicated. I feel angry right now. I'm going to admit to myself that I feel angry right now. And by doing that without judgment, then I cannot let that anger direct my next action. Because I was able to be detached from it by looking at it instead of joining with it or judging it or seeking to get the other person to change in order for me not to be angry. Most people spend all day with one unconscious or conscious goal, is avoid everything that disturbs me. I'm going through this day and I don't want anything to disturb me. Not I'm going through this day and I want to get rid of any thoughts, feelings, and emotions and beliefs that I have that disturb me. I just don't want the thing that happens that triggers me to happen. So I spend my time trying to make sure you don't trigger me, rather than me pulling the thing out of my mind and letting it go that I would use to trigger myself.
So I had an instance happen a couple weeks ago, and I tried to stay in the feeling, and it wasn't a good feeling, let me tell you. And I was so stressed out, and I was trying. There's nothing I can do about it. It's in the past, I can't fix it. Or something I did, and I was so upset, and I stayed in that for so long. I stayed up all night, and I made myself sick. I caught a cold. And so how long, if you're not being able to move past it to the point where you're like getting ill, what should I do?
Did you read at that moment? Did you study at that moment? Did you give yourself some truth at that moment? Did you tell yourself that what you were feeling was your call for love right now? Did you ask the Holy Spirit to be in charge of the situation and give you another perception of it?
I did. I tried all kinds of methods, but then I was still trying to control and I just wanted to go to sleep.
Just keep telling yourself the truth, and you'll know when you told yourself the truth enough, because when you told yourself the truth enough, you feel better.
Yeah, actually, I decided I wasn't going to care anymore, and
and so all you want to do now is learn how to do that sooner. Because in the end, you did the thing that I was suggesting. It just took you a while to get there, and don't judge yourself about how long it takes.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Because the biggest trick is to get upset with yourself about getting upset. We are under this illusion that sometimes if I beat myself up for the way that I'm feeling, somehow or another that's going to help the situation and make things better. It's just you having a feeling, and that feeling is coming from what you're telling yourself. Always remember that whatever you're feeling is coming from what you're telling yourself. And so it's that inner voice inside of you that's making you feel upset. I know that sounds simple, but it is simple. That is the truth. You're upsetting yourself. It's something you're telling yourself about what's happening that's keeping you upset. And so what I need to do is recognize that's the doorway to love, because that upset is reminding me to apply and practice the truth right now. And that's why I suggest over and over again that it will not change until I start using these interpretations to describe what I'm going through. So I go, I'm having a really big call for love right now. It's taking the form of me being very angry and upset about this. I know my anger and upset is coming from somebody not acting out or something not acting out my script. I also know my anger is an attempt to make someone or something feel guilty. I know my anger is from forgetting that I'm the one that's telling myself what's making me angry. Because if I can stay peaceful, as much as possible, I can hear my inner guidance, and it will tell me what to say and what to do in this situation. The difference between being a spiritual person and a regular person is a regular person is always trying to figure out everything and handle it on their own, where a person that's beginning to wake up spiritually is trying to get in touch with their own inner self, their own divine self, and their inner guidance. That's the only thing that makes a person who has a spiritual approach different from a regular person in the world. So if I approach this spiritual teaching from the perspective of this is another thing I've got to figure out and handle on my own, then I'm using a worldly approach to my spiritual awareness. So let's see see if anybody on the line has anything that they want to say. Let's see. Okay. All right, let's go to the next paragraph then. Thank you for asking and sharing. Yeah, appreciate that. Okay, now I know that the world hasn't taught you to live in that way, but the world is the opposite of the truth. The world is the opposite of the truth. The world is the opposite of the truth, of the kingdom. Love all. Become the one that serves all. How do you serve everyone? You serve everyone by loving yourself first. You serve me by loving you first, because the more love you feel and the more happiness you feel, the easier it's going to be to live with you, the more compassionate and kind and sane you're going to be. You're going to be a happier person. That's going to benefit me. If you're happy and you feel loved, it benefits me because you won't be part of the problem. You'll be part of the healing and the solution. So I beg the people in my life, do what gives you peace. When someone tells me what they need to do in order to feel peace, then regardless of what I might think I prefer, I know that what I must do is support that person in loving themselves first. Because whatever it is they think they need to do, that's their way of bringing peace to themselves, according to the way they defined it. Mm-hmm. It's not, I'm telling you, relationships aren't difficult. People are just not aware of the truth. So that's why this is maddening, because you can do that. You can say to the person when they say what they need to do in order to be happy, you can say, I support that. Mm-hmm. They will serve me best if they're happy. Mm-hmm. So learn to be quiet. Learn to quiet the roar and the din of the world, which is nothing more than your decision to place value on how the rest of the world is thinking. Okay, so love yourself so that you can serve everybody else. And then the next thing you do is to place no value on what the rest of the world is thinking. The ones you know what's best for you, what inspires you, what moves your heart, you serve yourself first so that you can love and be a benefit to everybody else. I like that plan. That sounds like a good plan, because I haven't been very good at making anybody else permanently happy anyway. So even when I have sacrificed or tried to put somebody else's happiness first, I haven't been consistently successful at that seeming to work. Because if they don't even know what they really want, how can they tell when you're doing it? If I'm sitting around going, I don't really know what makes me happy. I'm still trying to figure that out. Well then, how can I tell when you're doing it if I don't even know what it is? So I can't live my life trying to make you dance around like a little puppet until hopefully you'll finally do the thing that makes me happy, and that's your job.
My job is to make you happy.
Your job is to make me happy, so I'm going to come up with things that you need to do differently so that I feel really good.
Or you'll fire me.
Or I'll fire you. Yeah, right. Exactly. Exactly. I'll fire you if you don't. Absolutely. If I'm fear-based.
Right.
And I don't know what the truth is. I don't realize that happiness is what I am. It is a state of being. It's not a thing you do. So what we have to do is undo everything, have everything undone that keeps us from recognizing that we are love. We are happiness. A relationship can be a great way to do it, especially if both of you are in agreement that you want to use your relationship as an evolutionary relationship to grow in love and truth. And you can still kiss.
Yes.
I saw a lot of people go, phew. All right. Only you have the incredible experience of guiltless kissing. It's an incredible experience.
Best flavor.
I'm so used to doing stuff out of guilt in the past that when you do stuff, you can do the same thing you used to do with guilt and do it in innocence, and it feels 180 degrees different. It's beyond anything you can imagine. And you going to the movies with an innocent heart is a completely different experience than going to a movie with the guilt and the fear and the separation that regular people have. Which I think is awesome. Because now I got a lot of new experiences I can have right here. Let's see. So, serve only that voice of truth within yourself. That voice of truth within you is the voice that says, hey, go start a garden today. First you think, oh yes. Then you realize, I don't know how to garden. How am I going to figure this out? But I really want to start a garden. Go start the garden. I tell people often, just start. Just start.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, they won't make a move because they want it to all be perfect from the very beginning. And they want to know exactly how everything is going to go. But the truth is, all you need to do is start. If I say I want to be more loving, just start trying. Just start. Because once you set the goal will create the support, the people, the situations, and the circumstances that will help you achieve the goal, according to metaphysical spiritual truth. I say that again. The goal creates the situations, circumstances, and people that allow you to have it. What most people do is what? They don't give a lot of attention to what they want. They give most of their attention to trying to figure out how to get it. That's the wrong way.
I don't know what I want, but I'm going about trying to figure out how to get it.
Right. It's much more important to know what I want, to know what I want. Like if I go, I only want a peaceful relationship. I will not accept anything but a peaceful relationship. I only want peace. I will not accept anything except peace. That goal will start to draw me to the people, the teachings, the situations, and the attitudes that I would need to only have peaceful relationships. And since I know I only want peaceful relationships, if I'm in a relationship and there's constant conflict between us and we're not trying to change it, I know that that's not the relationship that I can achieve my goal through. And so that relationship is a distraction to my goal. So I can't evaluate whether something is right for me if I don't have a purpose and a goal for how it should be. Having the goal to come to this room, to share this class, allowed me to make the right decisions to get here. I didn't go like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do tonight. I think I'll go downtown. No, I won't go downtown. I think I'll go to the mountains. No, I don't know if I want to go to the mountain. No, I had a goal, and the goal created all of the judgments that I would need to make to come here. So it's much more important to focus on what you want and be clear about that rather than to focus all your attention on how you're going to get it. How is actually none of your business. Think about how many things you've ever planned in your entire life that nothing about it turned out exactly the way you planned it. And you probably go 100%. That there was always something about it that was not what you thought of. You may have gotten what you wanted, but I bet it didn't happen exactly down to every detail the way that you thought you wanted it to happen. So, some would say this is living from your authenticity. I do not speak of what is authentic as being what your mind thinks. Being authentic has nothing to do with what your mind thinks. That's social image. That's not authentic at all. That's a mask. That's a persona. Acting from your personality is not authentic. Acting from who and what you truly are as a child of spirit and God is being authentic. Being loving is authentic. Being free is authentic. Being willing to join and take responsibility for yourself is being authentic. Acting like the world tells you you should act. Dressing like the world says you should dress. Having the values that the world tells you that you should have is just addressing your persona, your personality, your programmed self, and not your real self. So, what is authentic is what you feel in your core and the depth of your being, but with one little added thing. What you feel in your core in innocence, not what you feel in your core in fear and guilt. Okay, the innocent heart is not needy. A person that knows they are innocent, that's not a needy person. A needy person is a person that has subconscious guilt in a sense of lack. So, it does not require selected individuals to agree with it. If I'm an innocent person, I don't need you to agree with me. It's a trip to think that I'm more and more I can sit in front of the class, try to be authentic as I can, which means acting from my core in innocence, but being less and less attached to whether anybody in the room agrees with me or not. Because if everybody should agree with me, I shouldn't be sitting in the front of the room.
Yeah.
If I really believe that not jumping off this building is the safest thing to do, all of you all could decide to jump off the building and I wouldn't. So if you were really acting from what you truly believe, nobody can affect you, and you don't care what they do, you're not going to do it.
That's right.
You're going to do the thing you think is right for you. So that allows me to feel peace when I sit up here, because I'm not attached to convincing anyone to believe what I'm saying. Because what's going to create the greatest change in my life is what? For me to believe what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? That's deep. So everywhere you go, it's just an opportunity to remind yourself of the truth about yourself and also show other people what they are to you. So this is an opportunity for me to show you what you are to me and who I am. So I think you're valuable to me, and I believe you're beautiful, and I believe that you're helpful, and that we're sharing the same goal. So I also give you a chance to show you also that that's what I want to demonstrate to you. That's what any situation is. It's just an opportunity to show who you are and what others are to you. That's it. That's it. It's another chance for me to show you who I am and what you mean to me. And everybody you're in a relationship with are showing you who they are and what you mean to them. That's all they're doing. And it says, an innocent heart does not wait until the universe nods its head in approval. An innocent-hearted person really knows, I'm innocent, I'm going to act from my innocence. And how do you act from your innocence? By not being attached to the opinions of the world. Do you notice that that's being said I've said that 2 or 3 different ways from this section. So this is the night that the Spirit is trying to give us the thought of stop being concerned about what other people think. 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 Valletta, thank you for being online. Hello, Healing Meditation Portal. Thank you for being online.
We are a gateway.
Cindy, thank you for being online. Elizabeth, it's great to have you online also. And don't forget to communicate with each other and hopefully with me. Okay, any thoughts, feelings, emotions, beliefs, takeaways, or questions or sharing either online or in the room about what I've just covered, because there was some cool stuff in there.
I was really taken by how powerful it is that I need to first start with loving me and then put aside the world's opinion. So that if I love me, the world's opinion means nothing. It's when I don't love me that I am concerned about the world's opinion.
Yeah, because then I need approval and validation from everybody around me in order to feel okay. Because I don't feel okay. So I need you all to say I feel okay. Right? If me teaching had to do with how many people showed up, I wouldn't be teaching. Especially after 17 years of being in the same place. I could hardly say that I'm creating turn-away crowds. Okay, so if my teaching had anything to do with the numbers of people that show up in the class, I would have stopped a long time ago. That would be the same as me caring about something outside of myself, reflecting back to me my value of what I'm here to do. But since I believe the universe provides, then it frees me to be myself regardless of numbers. Because I am sustained by the love of God. Thank you for being willing when you choose to be channels to support my teaching ministry. But I'm always looking at it as if you're channels. Beautiful channels for whatever you share with me. But not the source. Because then I would have to try to be some other way other than how I am to impress you enough that you'll want to come back and you'll want to support me. See the difference? Okay. So when you're acting from innocence, then you feel like you deserve to receive. And because you believe you deserve to receive, the universe reflects your belief. Anybody else?
So if I should put more attention on my goal as opposed to how to get it, and I understand how that works with peace, like if my goal is peace, then if I focus on that, I'll know if I'm achieving it. Can I apply that to a goal of financial security?
Most people had it. I'm glad you're saying that. What I do is I attempt to apply the truth to everything, so I don't have to figure out what to apply it to. Everything is an opportunity for you to use a universal law. So if I truly had a financial goal, then if I was clear about that, that goal would still create the means and the ways and the teachings and the supports that would allow me to do that, which has already happened for all of us. Do you know that all the different books that you read and all the information that you receive is telling you how to receive everything that you want? So you literally have already received a way to do it. It's just we have to be willing to be taught and listen and do it. Everybody's trying to fix. The way to have loving relationships has been endlessly defined and explained. There's a quadrillion abundance, prosperity books and the course that allow you to have prosperity and abundance. There are tons of spiritual teachers that tell us how to have peace. There are a gazillion books about how to be successful in your career. There's a gazillion books in how to have real estate. It's not anything y'all can tell me that there's not already a zillion books, television shows, workshops, and everything else to tell us how to do it. So actually the way to do it, the how, has already been defined. It's just one little problem. It requires a change of mind in us. And that's the problem. Because now I got to do it. That's the problem. See, you see, I want to remain exactly the way I am without the suffering it entails. I want to stay exactly the way I am and have my relationships change, my finances change, my relationship to God change, and my happiness change. But I want to stay basically exactly the way I am. And that's your average person. They're waiting and analyzing. And they wonder why it doesn't change. I've got to go, dog, I'm really upset right now. Okay, I'm going to let myself feel it. I'm going to let myself feel it. I'm going to look at it. I'm going to recognize it. And I'm going to breathe. And I'm not going to make myself feel guilty about it. And if I do feel angry, that's just my call for love. I'm going to be authentic with myself. And I'm going to ask for guidance. And I'm going to breathe. And I'm going to remember the truth in this situation. Now I am using what I have learned. But I couldn't have shared those 3 or 4 processes if I hadn't learned them. And I never would have learned them if I hadn't read and studied. Yeah.
So there are several comments on here that are in line with a very specific form. I know we've had the conversation of the content versus the form, really knowing the content we're looking for. Could you speak about that a little bit? Because I know that for myself, I could say I want $1 million, and I could set forward to get $1 million.
I want $1 million. What? Okay,
But
the truth
versus wanting security and sustenance.
Right. It's always, the ego mind is always about form and not content. The fear-based mind, the mind that doesn't know the truth, is always looking at the form of something. So I've been in relationships before that they were supposed to be special love relationships, and that form didn't work, and so we didn't do that form, so we no longer had a relationship. The form was the relationship. So we couldn't go, we're not going to be in a special love relationship as partners right now, but we're going to still be friends and support each other in other ways, but we're no longer going to relate the way we have related. That's putting content over form. You and I have a real relationship. I'm willing to change the form in the relationship if you want to maintain the relationship. If I say I want peace, then the universe is not going to be supporting, creating what causes me conflict. My goal of peace, wanting that content, will create the form that I will experience that contentment in. That's why the content is more important than the form. You can have a pretty house and be miserable in it. You can have a handsome partner and don't get along. You can drive the prettiest car in town and still be miserable. So asking for form has nothing to do with asking for content, which is happy. It's just that I'm asking for the form because I think that form is going to give me a certain experience. When I say I want to go out with you, it's because I want to have the experience of joining in some way. So that's the content. And going out with you is how I think I'm going to experience it. So asking for content is always the smartest way to go. I want a peaceful life. I want a loving life. I want a life without fear and a life that I feel connected and joined with God and everybody around me. That's what I need to focus on. Not who's supposed to bring it to me, not how it's supposed to come to me, but what is it I want it for. Like if I said I wanted $1 million, the first thing the truth in me would say from studying this is, what for? What is the purpose? What do you want $1 million for? I want to be famous. I want to be successful. I want to be the president of my own company. I want to go, okay, you want to go out with that person. What for? I came to the class. What for? What is the purpose? What do I want to come of it? That's what a conscious being asks themselves every time they come up with something they want. They go, what is the purpose? What is it for? What is it I want to come out of this? So then ask yourself, the next time you think you want something, ask yourself, did I go through that process? Did I just go, what is the purpose? What is it for? Because that's the application of the idea. But to hear me say you should ask, what's the purpose and what is it for, isn't the same as applying it.
That's right.
Your level of consciousness is the way you handle upset. Your level of consciousness is the way you handle upset. You're on the level of, whatever, you want to know what your level of consciousness is? Check yourself out the next time you're upset and what you do. That will let you know your level of consciousness. Not how you act when it looks like things are okay and we're sitting in the room and nothing's really bothering us. Okay? But the real test is going to be the next thing that seems to upset you, what do you do about it and how do you handle it? That's your level of consciousness. Whew. So if you Talk, I am responsible. I create my own reality. I don't know my own best interest. I'm putting God in charge. And then something happens that you don't like, and you go, that son of a gun, that's what happened every time I do something. The world always betrays me. Dog, you did it to me again. That's your level of consciousness. Not what you said when you weren't bothered. Yeah. And another great indication of your level of consciousness is, I've said this in relationships, it's who you are physically attracted to. Your sensual, sexual, physical attractions are toward people who are most like you. Your true level of consciousness. That's why you called it "I'm turned on." So check out who you are drawn to and who's drawn to you.
Nobody.
You know. So we know that that's a totally incorrect perception, right? Nobody that you want is drawn to you.
But God isn't going to give me anything I don't want,
But you will.
but I will.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. God will never give you anything that you don't want according to this, but you can give yourself something you don't want.
But I'm not. I'm not giving myself anything at this point.
That's not true. But you know that's not true. You know, you're thinking form again.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. See, that's the trick. It's when we think form, I could go, I'm not giving myself $1 million right now, as if $1 million had anything to do with how happy I am right now. True wealth is me having peace and feeling good about myself and not judging myself and knowing that I'm going to be supported by the universe and I'm still innocent. Even if I do act a fool and get mad, I know I'm still supported by God. That's wealth. Because anybody that believes that, they're going to be taken care of. They're going to be taken care of. You're going to be provided for when you fulfill your function of being a demonstrator of love and a demonstrator of truth. Then you're going to let the universe provide. So I can be a musician and I can be loving. I can be a cab driver and I can be loving. I can be an artist and I can be loving. It doesn't matter what the physical form is, but a conscious being goes, the reason I'm doing this is to give and receive love and to be an example of love and a conduit for love. That's what I'm really here for. Now watch me drive my Uber. That's the way it is. I'm telling you. If you will change what you believe the content and purpose of your experience is, it doesn't matter what the physical experience is you give yourself. And you will be provided for in an obvious way because you're finally doing what you came here to really do, which was to wake up and be a conduit for love and truth. I know that's true because you could start tonight. That's how you know what I'm saying is true, is because it's what you can do right now. Your ego is going to always come up with, what are all the reasons why what you're just saying cannot work or that it's a problem in some way? That's because the part of us that wants to say separate from God and separate from love, it can only do that if we stay in conflict and fear. So it's always looking for, what's the hole in your premise? What is about your premise doesn't work? How is this premise not going to work? Because I don't want to do it. And if I can come up with a reason why not to do it, then that's what I need to come up with right now because I don't want to do it. I don't think I deserve the kind of life that would be that wonderful yet. I still have unconscious guilt and fear and insecurities and thinking I'm not enough. So I don't deserve all the blessings that the universe wants me to have. So I've got to come up with every reason not to do what I just heard. Chris.
So, when, like, I find myself more and more, like, and sometimes this happens even when I leave class, like, especially in traffic, I find myself sometimes getting upset, but more and more, when I do get upset, then I remind myself, oh, that's my call for love. So I think that that's improvement.
And why are you saying that's your call for love? Because of what you learned. Yeah. Because of the classes you come to, the books that you've read, the people you put yourself around. You have been doing serious mind training. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You've been doing what I call positive brainwashing. Right? So that's what we're supposed to do. Yeah. So yeah, you're right. You've been saying it to yourself enough now that it's beginning to become your automatic response.
Yeah.
You're right. That's application. Yeah. And it doesn't mean you're going to necessarily instantly go, yay! I feel better now because I said it was a call for love. Yeah. A call for love can look like this. You son of a... That's a call for love. Yeah. It's not, oh, I love everybody. everybody. You're just so wonderful. I just feel spiritual all the time around you. You know, that's crap. A call for love is anything other than love. Is everybody got that? Okay. Okay. Okay, let's go on a little bit further then. I want to welcome Grace and Linda. Good to see you online. And Annette and Shanae says, remembering that I am innocent in all of my feelings and I feel the way I do because of what I am thinking, choose what I want, staying in Steamboat, which is where she is, and developing the expert, letting others as they are. Loving others, she meant to say, as they are. But what does that mean for me to love you as you are? For me to love you as you are would mean simply to let you be. If you like me, you're going to come toward me. So I don't have to do anything, really. If you're drawn for whatever reason. If you need to be somewhere else, that's also serving me if it makes you happy. Would you like to be in friendship and relationships with people like I'm describing?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I can tell. I can tell. All right. Challenges, can I do it? See, that's the thing. I'm rooting for somebody to be that nice to me. But can I give what I want to receive? I'm training myself to. I'm learning how to. That's the purpose of this. So that I will be able to be what I want to have. Whenever I want something, I say I have to be it. That's the first thing I tell myself.
That's right.
You have to be what you want to have. So if I want to have loving, peaceful, cool, fun, passionate, alive beings in my life, I have to be one. What I see is people who don't extend, who are afraid, who are angry, who judge and blame, say, I want these really loving, cool people to be my friends and to be my relationships. I see it all the time. The person who never extends or communicates with anybody is the one that want everybody in the room to be friendly to them. That's the error. We want the opposite of what we are being. So what do? You attract somebody to you that pushes your buttons to get you in touch with what you need to get out of your consciousness so that you can be what you want to have.
What do you do when your buttons are being pushed?
Everything I've been saying the whole hour. That's what you do.
My buttons are being pushed.
Yeah, my buttons are being pushed. Take a look at it. My buttons are being pushed. Take a breath. Ask your higher self, what would be the best way for me to handle this? I want another way to look at this. But my one rule, if at all possible, is I'm going to try not to attack. Even if it means I need to separate myself from the situation for a while to get centered. That's what I mean. When your buttons are pushed, that's an opportunity for you to practice what we're talking about. That's the funny part about it, is that we've been hearing one instruction after another about what our purpose is and what it is we need to do, but we still wonder what to do. That's because we haven't heard the answer that we made up yet. See, I haven't said it in terms of what you think the answer should be, and then that's when we say, what should we do?
Because we're after the form in it, not the content.
Yeah. Well, the truth says that what a person is looking for until they really start to practice and wake up when they ask them a question, they're looking for you to tell them what needs to change on the outside in order for them to be happy. What is it? Because I'm making myself unhappy about something that I think should be different than what it is. So when I ask you a question, then I want you to talk to me in terms of what is the thing on the outer that's going to change for me to be okay, because that's why my buttons are being pushed. They're being pushed because there's something I think needs to be different in order for me to be happy. So I need you to tell me how to change that thing on the outer that's going to do it. And I'm saying this like a broken record because I'm tired of it. Okay, I'm really tired of it. I'm tired of me falling for the old trick of thinking my happiness depends on what you do. And thinking that my happiness depends on how much money I have, or how much specialness I have, or how much physical pleasure I have. When I know that is not anything but something neutral, and I need to have some different energies within me that allows me to enjoy all of that and more.
Because then when you go after stuff with that right content in mind, everything's just a surprise. You know, you have the content and then it's just this.
Once you sure of the content, then you have that excitement of having your life unfold in pleasant, unexpected ways that you never could have imagined.
Limitless potential.
Limitless potential. Because I only want love. I only want peace. I only want freedom. So I just need to stay clear about that. And how am I going to have it? By not increasing my guilt. By not increasing my guilt. How do I not increase my guilt? By not doing anything that I think I'm going to make myself feel guilty about. Yeah, it's funny. It's like if a person wants to stop smoking, there's only one way to do it. You stop putting cigarettes in your mouth. Now, it may take months and years to get to the point that you don't put a cigarette in your mouth, but you knew what the answer was at the very beginning. You see what I'm saying? It's like whatever it is that we're using to block ourselves, all we have to do is choose to do something else. But to get to the point that you'll consciously actually choose to do something else, you may study, read, meditate for days or years just to get to that point where you won't put that cigarette in your mouth. And you know when you stop putting it in your mouth? When you recognize it will not get you what you want. What is it I want? To stop smoking. So if I keep my goal in mind, I'm going to be less and less and less and less drawn to putting the cigarette in my mouth because it's contrary to my goal. And then I tell myself it's not going to get me what I want. I don't tell myself I should feel guilty because I picked up a cigarette and smoked it when I said that I wasn't. If I do that, that's going to increase the possibility that I'm going to pick up another cigarette. Because the part of me that wants to punish me knows that I feel guilty about that, so I will be tempted to do it over and over again for the bad feeling I'll give myself about it.
I do that.
Okay. And you're so sweet. You know, so that I do, you know what? I do the same thing. The only difference is I have learned to stop beating myself up about it so that I'll stop. The beating myself up was just a way to keep it going. Mm-hmm. So if you can feel your feelings about it and then don't beat yourself up. In other words, don't get angry about getting angry.
Yeah.
Don't feel guilty about feeling guilty. You see what I'm saying? When you get more and more just say, that's just a feeling, that's just an emotion, that's my call for love, that's my misperception, and you look at it, what's going to happen is, yeah, you'll feel that feeling while you're feeling it, but what's going to happen is it will start to decrease in terms of how many times that happened, and the length of it will decrease. But when you feel, you know what I'm saying? It's like if I had my hand on a hot stove for 5 minutes, it'd be burning and it'd be hurting, right? And if I get to the point that I only put my hand on a hot stove for 1 minute, it still feels just as bad, but for 1 minute. See the difference of what I'm saying? Yeah. It's like, yeah, you get angry, you're angry. And so if you practice the truth, maybe the next time you'll be angry half as long. But while you're in it, you're in it.
That's right.
And that's very important to realize. While you're in it, you're in it. But if you practice the truth, you won't stay in it. And even better than that, you'll stop putting yourself in it in the first place. Mm-hmm.
So if you're in it and you're going through it, you just don't allow yourself to, you accept what you're going through, but you don't allow guilt to enter into it.
You accept that this is how I feel. That's why I put it that way. This is how I feel. This is how I feel. This is how I feel. But guess what? I'm making myself feel it. Even though it doesn't look like I'm making myself feel it, I'm making myself feel it. And how am I making myself feel it? Who can tell me how am I making myself feel it? Who can tell me?
By what I'm thinking.
About what I'm thinking and what I'm telling myself.
Mm-hmm.
It would be more important to walk away with that one thought if that was the only thing you retained from this entire class than anything else you've heard tonight, and it will change your life. God, the universe loves us. It's not trying to give us more complicated ways to enlightenment and happiness. It's trying to give us real simple ways to do it that we can do right now. So by all means, if you want to be a millionaire, go for it. By all means, if you want a $1 million house, go for it. Just ask yourself, what is the purpose? What is it for? Why do I want it? And you'll know what your purpose is. Wow. Okay, let's go to the next paragraph. I'm always amazed anybody shows up in my class, but I really appreciate that y'all do that. Because really and truly, I'm saying everything that the ego mind doesn't want to hear. Coming to a class like this is very different from coming to a class on manifesting. Right? You know, it's not hard to get people enthusiastic about saying, how can I manifest a 6-figure income? How can I manifest the best lover I ever had in my life? How can I manifest? That's no problem. But when you talk about having the very core of who and what you think you are and your identity changed and letting go of grievances and blocks that you got since you were a child that block your happiness, taking responsibility for your experience, realizing that you're a spirit and not a body, knowing that God is real, that's a whole nother level. And that's the kind of class that you all are in. And that means you are old souls. That means you all been around the block a few times. I don't care what your age is. You're an ancient. To the point that you're actually ready now to deal with the real causes of happiness and unhappiness and not the superficial causes that everybody else believes in, which is somebody or something else needs to change for them to be happy. That's powerful. And you don't get to that point until you have advanced a lot in your soul evolution. A lot. A lot. A lot. You're ready to really be happy. You're really ready to go for the real deal. That's what you're doing right now. So, I'm going to do one more paragraph. He says, authenticity is the core through which Christ's mind or love mind grows. That means, anytime you look and see that you have not been living authentically, anytime, see this instruction again, anytime you look and see that you haven't been living authentically, what does that mean? From the core of your being without guilt, decide to take a deep breath. That's to be blazed, Raj. Start to breathe. As soon as you find yourself beginning to get upset, as soon as you begin to feel your peace leaving you, go. You may be like that sometime. If that's what it takes, breathe. And let your illusions be shattered. How do you let your illusions and false ideas and your anger be shattered? By telling the truth. How do you tell the truth? You allow whatever changes that need to occur. I'm going to be honest. I need whatever changes that need to happen for me to be happy to happen. I need whatever changes that need to occur in my life to occur. I welcome every change that needs to occur in my life to occur. I welcome any change that needs to happen in my relationships that need to happen in my relationship to occur. I allow any change that needs to happen in my career, my job, in my relationship to God. Whatever change that needs to happen, whatever those changes are, I allow those changes to occur. Then indeed you're growing in your Christ mind, your power mind, your love mind. And in the way of knowing, you ask yourself constantly, where am I being inauthentic? Where am I just showing up the way that I think Harry down the street needs me to show up? Where am I being a vegetarian so that I can feel superior to those who aren't? Where am I controlling my diet because I'm afraid that this substance will make me less spiritual? Where am I controlling what I eat because I think if I do this, it's going to make me less spiritual? Where am I denying my humanity in order to present an image to someone else? Where am I getting up and going to the same job every day when I know in the depth of my being that I just don't want to be there anymore? Where am I getting up and going to doing the same thing every day when I know that in the depth of my being that I just do not want to be there anymore? To live authentically, in some sense, is to live alone. What does it mean to live alone? It means you no longer are run by needing things to look a certain way. You no longer run by needing things to succeed in a certain way so that the judgment of the world will nod its head and give you a 10 instead of a 1. I no longer need to be ran by the idea that things need to look a certain way or be a certain way. I don't need the world to give me its nod and say I'm cool. That's living authentically. In the way of knowing, the mind comes to grasp the simple metaphysical truth, which is I and I alone are creating my tomorrows. Me and me alone, I'm creating my tomorrows. I'm the one that's creating my tomorrows. What does that mean? I'm the one that's creating the way I'm going to feel about my tomorrow. Mm-hmm. See, the mind is going to, oh, I'm going to create this and I'm going to create that, I'm going to create this form and that form. No, that's true too, but the truth is, I and I alone are creating the way I'm going to feel tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And I alone are creating the way I'm going to feel the day after tomorrow. I and I alone. That's what it means by in the sense you alone. Because all of a sudden, if I'm in a relationship, I'm still the one that's creating the way that I feel. So it's still me and me alone that's creating the way that I feel. If I'm not in one, it's still me and me alone that's creating the one that I feel, what I feel. See, that's in my power. It might not be in my power to be absolutely sure that day after tomorrow I'm going to win the lottery. But it's absolutely in my power to determine how I feel about it, whether it happens or not. See, I like getting in touch with the thing I really do have something to say about. But my ego, the part of me that doesn't love me, is always trying to make my happiness dependent on what something or someone else does, including if that person shows up. If your happiness comes from within, if your happiness comes from within you, then when you ask God to give you something because you think that thing is going to make you happy, you are probably not going to get it. Because that would be further convincing you that your happiness comes from something outside of you. So your ego will give it to you. Because your ego loves for you to seek for happiness where it's not located as a form of self-punishment. Does that make sense to everybody? I want to make sure that if you don't understand what I'm saying. If I'm the one giving you the gift, and you are acting like he's giving you the gift, then I'm not going to give you the gift. Because that's making you think that it's coming from him, and it's not. So if you go, I want him. No, you want you. And you want God. So I ain't giving you him if you're going to think your happiness is coming from him instead of from me. So every time you ask for something from the perspective that that thing is going to make you happy, you're acting counter to spiritual growth, which is about you knowing that you're whole and complete within yourself. Now I know that my happiness doesn't depend on it. Now I can have it because I'm not going to get lost in it and it's not going to be a distraction, and I can just what? Have fun with it and enjoy it and give and receive some love. I can suck a popsicle and really enjoy it, but I'm going to give myself disappointment if I'm looking for it to last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So this is popsicle time. This is popsicle. This is popsicle. This is popsicle. You better lick it while you can. Because this is popsicle. So I don't expect this to last forever. So therefore I'll enjoy you now because I don't know if I'll see any of you ever again. So I'm going to be present with you right now. You are popsicles. Really. Really. And the same thing is true with the relationship. Even if the separation is your partner making a transition called death. There's nothing here that's going to last forever. There's nothing here that's going to last forever. So instead of looking at it as sinful and guilty, and therefore not letting myself enjoy it, I could be understanding I'm innocent, this is neutral, I'm going to give myself love and happiness and peace through it. I'm going to experience it and let it go. I'm going to experience it and let it go. If you notice, when you drive down the street and you're looking at trees, you look at the trees and they pass by, and you look at the cars and they pass by, and you look at the trees and they pass by, you look at the cars and they pass by, right? And then so that's a smooth process. It's just going through and you in there and you enjoying it. Then all of a sudden you see a car that reminds you of the car that you used to drive when you had the girlfriend that broke your heart. So bam, all of a sudden now you stopped. You're not letting the events just go through and pass. Now you're focusing in on all the memories that went with how your heart was broken. And so now you're caught up in the grievance and the fear of that event, and now your energy is blocked and it's not passing through you anymore. So can you let events and people in your life move through you and then completely enjoy it as long as you can while it's there? knowing that your purpose is to give and receive love and joy. No, I want to grab you, I want to make sure you're there forever. And not only do I want to make sure you're there forever, I want to make sure you're there forever doing what I want you to do to make me happy. And I'm getting mad at you every time you don't. Because your job is to give me the validation that I don't have for myself yet. So if you truly want to get beyond that, the universe will send someone to you who temporarily satisfies your need for specialness while you're still learning how to move beyond it together. So therefore, both of your needs are met. So you get the person that treats you special while you're learning to let go of having to have them treat you special for you to feel good about yourself. Why did the universe provide you with that relationship? Because your long-term goal was to go beyond that need to have anybody else make you happy. Now, if your goal was just to, now I got the person who's going to do it, then why should the universe send you anybody? Because that's just reinforcing that erroneous belief. But if you go, God, I know that I still have this tremendous desire to be treated differently and not want this person to act out my script and make me feel good about myself and make me happy, but I know ultimately that my happiness must come from within, and I don't want to be ruled by that thought anymore. I would love to have someone to learn with me in order to do that for real. Then you probably receive it, and quicker than you could possibly imagine. Unless it's such an idol that you haven't got, that you still got it as an idol. So I'm glad God doesn't give me anything that's going to take me deeper into the illusion. Yeah, I didn't used to feel that way. Now I do.
And I'd also do that.
Yeah. In other words, I am glad that if I ask for something that is really not for my best interest, then it doesn't happen anymore. Where I used to go, oh, I'm disappointed, that didn't happen, and I want that to happen, it's not really that. No, if it's for your best interest, it would be happening. So it's not for your best interest now. Doesn't mean you're bad, doesn't mean the person's bad, doesn't mean the situation is bad. For whatever reason right now, it's not for your own best interest. That's why it's not happening.
Rejection is protection.
Rejection is protection and redirection. I and I alone am creating my tomorrows. If I create inauthenticity now, I can rest assured that I will experience it tomorrow. If I create imprisonment for my soul now, I will experience imprisonment for my soul tomorrow. Because creation is eternal, it is impossible not to have a tomorrow, whether in this world or another. You will always have a tomorrow. You were created to create. You were created out of an overflow of joy and love. You were created to create. You were created out of an overflow of joy and love. I want you to live joyously. Live lovingly of yourself. Dare to consider that yourself is so important that you have an obligation, Raj, you have an obligation never to settle for less than your own authenticity. You have an obligation never to settle for less than following your heart and following your bliss and following what it truly inspires you. Okay, that's all. Let's give it up for us. Let's give it up for us. Remember, loving yourself is the service to another. Acknowledging yourself is service to another. Acknowledging yourself creates a world that acknowledges you. Let's try it again. Let's acknowledge ourselves. Let's give it up. Yeah, there we go. I know. All right, okay, we're going to do a quick little recap, and then we'll be out of here in our dream. Bless your heart. Thank you for sharing, Holy Spirits. Thank you. Those of you online, if you'd like to share, to support my teaching ministry, just go to earlpurdy.com and go to my website. If you would like to work with me, I would love to work with you. Go to my website, earlpurdy.com, and it shares, and you can find out everything that I do, especially my clarity sessions that I work with people on. Whatever your problem is, whatever your issue is, there's not anything you're going to tell me that these teachings do not address how to best handle it. It might be different from how you made up it should be handled or what you've been taught to believe, but that's what's going to make it probably work, is that it's not what you believe. And that it is totally different. Because like I said, we made the problem. So it was our thinking that created the perceived problem. So obviously the answer is something other than probably what you're telling yourself. So just remember that, Raj. You understand? I understand. Okay. Higher self, I just want to tell you. Since there is no sin, I can get away with it. See what I'm saying? I'm innocent. I'm innocent. And when you're innocent, you don't fear the wrath of God or some individual, something that's going to get you. Especially about things you do with something that doesn't last, like the body. You begin to make yourself feel guilty about what you do with your body is the stupidest thing in the world, because it's not going to even be around forever. So why are you making yourself feel guilty about something that ultimately doesn't exist? And no loving being is going to use their body to hurt anyone or attack anyone at a conscious level. So there's no such thing as, I believe I'm innocent, so I'm just going to do anything to anybody because I'm innocent and I'm free, so that means I can treat people any kind of way. That's the way a fear-based, grievance-based, unaware mind works. Because a loving mind would never want to hurt anybody else or manipulate anybody else. Only a person who hasn't really changed their mind would say, I'm going to take my innocent thought that I've learned to just do anything to you without being concerned about it. So you see how that's totally contradictory? I'm not going to, because I'm innocent and I'm never going to be condemned, means I wouldn't attack you, murder you, and rob you. Because I'm loving. So it's no such thing as, oh, I'm hearing this stuff and I'm a loving person, but that just means I can just go do anything I want. A conscious being wants to do anything God wants it to do. If the conscious being wants to do what spirit wants it to do. An unconscious being is always about its fantasies, its dreams, separate from the source. And I'm learning how to get beyond that, because I was programmed and taught just like you. It's about it's about me. You're here to serve me.
That's right.
That's the average person. They live their life as if everybody was created to serve their dreams, their wishes, and their fantasies. And they're mad because they aren't doing it good enough. And I'm mad at my body because it's failing me, because it's not making me attractive enough for people to want to do what I want them to do. So now I'm down, putting my body down too. And that anger that I have toward my body for not looking buff enough, handsome enough, powerful enough, wonderful enough, is actually what makes it sick. Because I'm attacking it with my self-hatred for it. I love my pot stomach. I love my pot stomach. Oh my God, the bed of the pot stomach. Some people find that hot. I want a man with a pot stomach. Well, it ain't a big pot, it's a little crock pot. You know, in a pot, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. You look beautiful to anybody that loves you. I don't care what you look like.
That's right.
You don't look ugly to somebody that loves you. You look ugly to somebody that don't.
You look
feel
ugly to
bad, I got
somebody
one
that doesn't love themselves.
You got one too. That's right. You gonna join me in pot belly wonder? Thank you, babe. I appreciate that. And anybody in here have areas of their bodies that they're tempted to judge themselves for? Anybody? Oh, okay. All right. Okay. So we're the same. We're the same. We're totally innocent. Okay, so give me a takeaway. I just covered everything. Thursday night, 7 o'clock, Mountain Time. A Course of Love is not for the faint of heart. It is hardcore. So check it out if you dare. That's A Course of Love, 7 o'clock, Mountain Time on Thursdays. 1 o'clock is A Course in Miracles from 1 to 2, Mountain Time on Sundays, and of course the Way of Mastery on Tuesday night. The Course in Miracles, the truth teaches that anybody that comes to a class or anybody that comes into your life is sent. So that's why, to me, it changes from week to week, whoever shows up. Because whoever shows up, they were sent. So that means that there was something your higher self wanted you to hear tonight. So I'd like to ask you, and those online, what is it that you think your higher self sent you to hear tonight? What is your takeaway?
Don't listen to what the world says.
Don't listen to what the world says. Don't listen to what the world says. If that resonated with you, you know that was your special message. So you can let go of everything else you've heard tonight and go say, I'm going to go into the rest of the week trying to let go and not focusing on what the world thinks. Anybody else have a takeaway?
Oh, I like what you said about letting things flow and pass through you and not holding on to things and getting stuck.
Right, and getting stuck is your refusal to look at it, acknowledge it, and see it. Okay? Getting stuck means I'm not letting it come up, I am suppressing it. I'm trying to be nice.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Really resonated with the I and I alone conversation, particularly when linked with authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
Because being true, authenticity means being true to your core design. And if my core design was me, and me and my innocence, then I and I alone is that representation of only coming from a place where nothing has impacted my innocence.
Nothing has ever impacted your innocence. There's not anything you've ever done in your entire life that's ever impacted your innocence. A good analogy is, let's say you got really, really dirty, and you went into the shower, and you washed the dirt off. It had in no way changed who you were under that dirt.
Mm-hmm.
And so your guilt, your fears, and your insecurity are like the dirt on the body that needs a shower. Who you really are under that has been completely unaffected by everything you ever think you've done to hurt yourself or anybody else. God, this is so loving that I really have to make myself hear it and let it in. Anybody else have a takeaway? My brother.
What I fear is a doorway to love.
What I fear is my doorway to love, my doorway to remembering. You want to get to the point that as soon as you have what you think of as a negative feeling, it's a trigger to remember the truth. And then what you'll find is that the negative feelings will start to decrease. Because your ego doesn't want you to remember the truth when you're upset. Your ego wants you to forget the truth when you're upset. So if you use the truth to remember God, if you use your upset to remember God, if you use your upset to remember the truth, your ego, the part of you that thinks you don't deserve to be happy, that part of you will stop creating challenges for you if you keep going to the truth every time you have a challenge. But if it knows it can create a challenge for you and you turn your back on the truth and you don't remember the truth and you go right back to projection and blame and not taking responsibility, you know what that part of your mind is going to do? It's just going to create more and more drama and more conflict for you.
So a couple from online, Jerry says, you mean I just get to go out and do my own thing?
Yes, you go out. You go out to do you get a chance to go out and do your own thing, but make sure you know whose thing you're getting ready to do. Because many times when people say I'm getting ready to go out and do my own thing, they're saying I'm getting ready to do what my ego wants me to do.
Several people resonated with, if it didn't come to me, it's not for me.
If it didn't come to me, because that which is for you will be sent to you. What loves you comes towards you, what fears you moves away. It's that simple. It's that simple. And if I'm afraid of you and you back away, then I might get over my fear of you. Because I got a chance to deal with my fear. And you didn't increase it by coming closer. You see? So just because you pull away doesn't mean I'm not going to eventually experience love with you. You just might need some space to see me correctly.
So Healing Meditation Portal, which I will from now on call it HMP, says, thanks for connecting on Facebook, Earl, and not investing in guilt, expectations for others. My not investing in guilt, expectations of others will hurt myself because I don't want to have them playing my script. So I'm looking past the illusory image that people may project of themselves and not believe, particularly when all cries of love is anything but love. That really crystallized for me today. Thank you.
Yeah, it's either love or a call for love. Or a call for help. I like to say it's a call for God. Because that allows me to not take personal responsibility for changing you. But allows me to have spirit to use me in whatever way it can. Follow me? Mm-hmm. You know, because what do I want to do? I want to increase my belief that God is real and I can call on that higher power in my life. So the more I share that idea, the stronger it becomes. And what doesn't get shared a lot is the idea of higher power of God. That's what you don't hear in spiritual classes sometimes, right? Because that's where our greatest resistance is sometimes, based on what we learned as children.
When I get caught up in the illusion and I get, into my anger space of wanting to change things, I need to remember to step back and breathe.
Step back and breathe. I call it pause. Pause for inspiration. Pause for inspiration. Pause for the next instruction. God, that's so true. God, that's so true. Okay, take a breath. We're going to take it on in. I'm going to say one sentence for about a minute, and I just want you to listen to it. Those of you online, thank you for tuning in, and share the video on Facebook, comment, like, because it increases the reach on Facebook. Plus, it'd be cool for some other people to hear this. We have lots of mighty companions that are tuning in, and I feel you. That's what's such a trip. I feel you. And thank you for coming out. I can't tell you enough how much I appreciate you all physically getting in the car and coming here. Yeah, really, because it's easy. It'd be easy to just kick back at home and don't come. And that's okay if you choose to do that. But I want to especially let you know that it creates a different energy when we're in each other's presence also. Totally. So both of them are great. So let's close your eyes a minute and go. I'm just going to relax right now. You were created to create. 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 I was created to create. I was created to create. You were created to create. What does that mean? You were created to extend, to allow joy and love and life and peace to extend. Tell yourself that I am willing to be a conduit. I am willing to be a conduit. I am willing to be a conduit. And you know what a conduit is, right? That means you're just going to open yourself and say, I love the universal love to use me. I would love the universal love to use me. Come through me. Love, please use me. Come through me. Come through me. Love, please use me. Come through me. Come through me. Love, please use me. Come through me. Come through me. Wealth, please use me. Come through me. Come through me. Wealth, please use me. Come through me. Come through me. Freedom, please use me. Come through me. Come through me. Health, please use me. Come through me. Come through me. Joy, please use me. Come through me. Come through me. You were created out of an overflow of joy and love. I am willing to overflow in joy and love. I am willing to overflow in joy and love. I am willing to overflow in joy and love. I am willing to overflow in joy and love. I am willing to overflow in joy and love. I am willing to live joyously. I am willing to live joyously. I am willing to live joyously. I am willing to put my happiness first. 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 I cannot give what I don't have. I cannot give what I don't have. So I have to keep my peace to be able to give it away. I have to keep my peace to be able to give it away. You have to keep your peace to be able to give it away. 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 Give the love away. Give the peace away. Give the love away. Give the peace away. Be authentic. Be authentic. To be authentic, act from your core of your feelings in innocence. Act from the core of your feelings in innocence. Be authentic. You are authentic. You are a blessing. You are a blessing. You are a blessing. You are a beautiful, beautiful blessing. You are a blessing. You are a beautiful, beautiful blessing. You are a blessing. You are a beautiful, beautiful blessing. You are a blessing. You are a blessing. And it is an honor to know you. It's an honor to be in your presence. Mighty companions, may the horse be with you. Hugs are available, y'all. Love you online.
Was that a gambling tip?
Yes, that was a little gambling tip.